Morgan Thomas Show. Brought to you by Black's Tire Inc.
Here we go. It's another episode of the Morgan Thomas Show with Big Al, my co-host and good friend, Alan Adams. We are broadcasting from Greenville, South Carolina, wherever you may be watching or listening to the show. Welcome to the show. I'm your host and producer, Morgan Thomas, and you can catch us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, 105.5 and 97.5 in Spartanburg, FM The Roar, and anywhere you listen to podcasts, Apple, Google, Spotify, all the great places around there. Al, welcome to the show, man. I'm excited to get back after this little siesta or little break we took.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what better day to come back than early National Signing Day? I mean, this is an exciting day. It's almost like Christmas, all right? Christmas before Christmas. Obviously, we're used to having this day in February, but since they kind of moved it up, it's kind of right here at the same time. So I'm not really sure how to feel about it. I like it from a Clemson perspective, but it was really nice to, in that lull in February, to have National Signing Day to look forward to. But this is good stuff. So ready to get back at it, man.
Yeah, National Signing Day is always fun because, you know, the season is kind of over. The regular season is over. Championship games are over. Rivalry games are over. So, you know, college football fans are kind of feeling low right now, anticipating the bowl games, which we're going to talk about later on, or, you know, in the first segment is our bowl game picks. I know you guys love that. But, you know, National Signing Day was something that originally was back in February. February 5th was kind of like the day, or the first Wednesday of February. If it was the 5th, right, you know, whatever day it fell on, but it was the first Wednesday of February. And Alan and I, we've had a lot of very good memories going to the recruiting wrap-up dinners over the years. Man, we've been to recruiting wrap-up dinners where it was like 100 people and 10 or 12 recruits, and one of those being Taj Boyd. But then we've been recruiting wrap-up dinners, Al, where it's like 5,000 people there to watch in the indoor practice facility. So it's grown. It's got a long way to go, and we hope to later on in the show have a special guest, a friend of ours, our first ever guest, if you will, Dean Cox. He was actually at the early signing day event that they had today at the Allen Reeves Center. So we hope to have him on in our third segment of the night. But again, if you're watching over on Facebook, welcome. Again, I apologize for being out because I've gotten sick, Al. I've gotten sick on Halloween and I got sick on Thanksgiving, and I'm hoping I don't get sick on Christmas and make it like the hat trick of sickness holidays. But as you can tell, my voice is still not perfect. It's still a little weak, but I've been fighting bronchitis, and then I'm over that. Now I'm still trying to get over this laryngitis. I'm just a weakling right here, just trying to fight through. But I'm here for you. So we missed 2 weeks ago because of I had no voice, and we missed. You know, we missed this past Monday because I'm traveling. I was in Wilmington. If you saw that. If you want to know anything about, I had people ask over on YouTube, what about the show? What's going on? If you want like day-to-day updates, just follow me on Twitter at Clemson Morgan, and you can get day-to-day updates. But let's get the show started. I know you guys are excited for it or ready to talk about the early signing day. But tonight's show, before I get started at all, I want to tell you about our primary sponsor, and that is Black's Tire Inc. in Westminster, South Carolina. Family-owned and operated since 1971. If you need new tires, brakes, alignments, tire repair, or just looking for a friendly professional to help answer your questions, check out Black's Tire Inc., located 1415 East Main Street, Westminster, South Carolina. Give them a call, 864-647-9292, and let them know that you heard about them from the Morgan Thomas Show with Big Al, from Morgan or Alan, whoever. But actually, my Jeep Grand Cherokee's back left tire's looking kind of low. So Preston or Dale, if you're listening, I might need to stop by tomorrow. I should be in the Clemson area. But Al, let's get started on to segment number one. Let's just get rolling into it.
Let's do it.
Segment number one is going to be really, because it's the December, it's the postseason, it's the bowl season, weekly college bowl picks. Now, I don't know if you agree with me or not on this, Al, but I decided to stay away from doing it against the spread. I know you were like the spread master, and I'm sure that you would have went like 39 for 39 on the spread picks. I know it.
Yeah.
But as I was going through as normal me was going through, normal fan, and I know, our show's mainly like Clemson and ACC teams.
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo and Charlotte. I mean, I'm like sitting here like grabbing for answers here. I just can't figure it out. Kent State and Utah State. I am like sweating. I don't even know like who to pick in this, other than just to pick the favorite, which I didn't want to. I didn't want to be that guy and just pick the favorite. So what we're going to do is we're just going to not do the spread at all. We're just going to do straight up picks. We're going to do more of a college football, style. But before we get into the picks, I wanted to give a shout out to who's watching right now. We got 10 people over on YouTube watching. We got a Nebraska fan watching, actually, jumping on. Would not have expected that, but I don't know. Did Nebraska do well during the National Signing Day? I don't know, but we got 11 people now over on YouTube. We appreciate the support. Get in the chat. Let us know you're here. Let us know where you're watching from, and we will give you a shout out during the show. Al, how many people we have over on Facebook?
Oh, we have a pretty strong start. As usual, when it comes to Facebook, we have 23. Kevron, as always, is in. Jason's in. Dean is in. Joey. Let's see. Audrey, Mark. Who else? Al, we got in here, and John as well. So a lot of our regulars are in here with us. And like you were talking about with these bowl games, man, bowl games can make the best of pickers look like an absolute fool. Okay, it's really easy, even when you're going straight up and not against the spread. It's a difficult thing to do. It's bowl season. You're playing opponents where there's no common opponents to look at. It's cross division, cross conference, all that kind of stuff. Motivation factor and everything involved. It's just a crazy thing to do. So it's we're setting into some new territory here. It's going to be a lot of fun, one way or the other.
Yeah, I started this show during the playoff phase, and I only talked about the 4 playoff teams. I didn't talk about any of the bowl games.
Right.
So we're almost at our 1 year out anniversary of the Morgan Thomas Show, which is crazy. I should post like the first video compared to this video, compared to this show. You're going to be like shocked at the difference. I'll be shocked. Maybe you won't, but because you've probably been watching since day one. I know our fans have been with us, but let's get into it, Al. So the game 1, I kind of went from time and date, right? So right. Bahamas Bowl. Now, hey, I want to go to this one. Buffalo versus Charlotte, Thomas A. Robinson National Stadium in Nassau, Bahamas at 2 p.m. on ESPN. So who do you got there? So Buffalo versus Charlotte. What's your thoughts on that game?
Well, it's funny diving into some of these teams that we probably haven't got to see play all year for the most part. Neither team has ever won a bowl. I don't know if you know that or not, but both are kind of hot right now. I think both of them have won 6 games or something like that. Both pretty good offenses as well. Right now, I took Buffalo. I usually like to bet on Buffalo a little bit during the year to cover the spread for them. They usually do a pretty good job because of their offense, so I'm taking them here in this bowl game.
Yeah, Buffalo also has a pretty good run defense, and but Charlotte is successful running with the ball. Mm-hmm. But I feel like you're gonna go. It's kind of an away game. I know it's kind of a neutral site game, but with Buffalo, I feel like has a little bit better of a defense. So give me Buffalo, even though this is Charlotte's. I believe this is their first bowl game ever in the history. They haven't been in in this division for very long, so it's a big deal for Charlotte. So they might be able to pull it out. I mean, I'm not gonna say they can't do it, but I'm gonna go with Buffalo on this one. Next up is Frisco Bowl, Kent State versus Utah State. The Toyota Stadium in Frisco, Texas, 7:30 p.m. ESPN2. Big Jordan Love, he's going to go to the NFL, quarterback for Utah State. He's going to go to the NFL after this, but had a great year last year. Not so good this year. 17 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. But, it's his going away party, so give me Utah State.
Yeah, and I feel like you're doing a disservice to these bowl games, okay? You're calling it the Frisco Bowl when in reality it's the Tropical Smoothie Cafe Frisco Bowl. Okay, I think the more words you can fit in there, the funnier it is. So that's what I'm going to call it, the Tropical Smoothie Cafe Frisco Bowl. I love some of these bowl names. It's one of the most fun things about bowl season in general. You're right about quarterback Jordan Love for Utah State. He's an NFL kind of guy, and anytime when you're a lower level team and you have an NFL quarterback, obviously that's kind of somebody you're going to gravitate towards when it comes to a pick. He's going to go to the NFL and play somewhere for sure, even though, like you said, this year wasn't quite as good for him as last year. Kent State has never won a bowl. They're not going to start now. Give me Utah State as well.
All right. Good thing we're on the same page there. December 21st starts off with the New Mexico Bowl. And if I'm not saying the whole sponsor, I'm sorry. You can correct me on this. I'm still fighting laryngitis, so I can't say some of these entire bowl names. But the New Mexico Bowl, Central Michigan versus San Diego State. I went for Central Michigan in their championship game, and they let me down. San Diego State, or let me tell you this. So, Dream Style Stadium, Albuquerque, New Mexico. So it's closer to San Diego than it is to Central Michigan, obviously. 2 p.m. on ESPN. Central Michigan is 8-0 when they score more than 24 points, and 0-5 when they score under 24 points. No one has scored 24 points or more on San Diego State. So this year. So give me San Diego State to hold them under their number, and I'm going to take them.
All right, I like that. I actually had that listed as the New Mexico Bowl as well, so I think he did a good job with that one. Even though San Diego State's quarterback Agnew is coming off a calf injury, he is listed as probable for this game. I think he's kind of the difference in this game, assuming he's healthy. Overall, I believe San Diego State is the better team. They are a slight favorite in this game, so give me the Aztecs as well.
And then we've got the Cure Bowl, which is, interesting name there. Cure Bowl, Liberty versus Georgia Southern. So two teams that we've actually talked about during the season. Georgia Southern, obviously, got that win against Appalachian State. Liberty was a team that played Virginia Tech and I believe Virginia both this year, and kind of had a pretty good game with them. But it's in the Exploria Stadium in Orlando, Florida, 2:30 p.m. on CBS SN. For me, Josh Calvert, the quarterback for Liberty, is just so consistent. He's only had 2 interceptions in the past 10 games, and he's pretty good. You can count him in for 200 yards or more every game. So Georgia Southern has been hit for a lot of passing yards in the past 5 games, 270 passing yards or more in the past 5 games. With the fact that Liberty, has a pretty decent passer, give me Liberty in this game.
Yeah, that's a pretty good pick. I like Liberty a lot because they score some points, and they've done that pretty consistently this year, as you mentioned. But Georgia Southern has been to 2 bowl games in their existence, and they have won both. And also, they handed App State their only loss of the year this year in a stunner. So I'm taking the Eagles on a flyer here. Give me Georgia Southern.
And the next one, Boca Raton Bowl, FAU versus SMU. Another one I think this is be a good one to watch. Boca Raton, Florida at FAU Stadium. It's kind of interesting there.
Yeah.
3:30 p.m. on ABC. SMU, Shane Buechele is a great passer, doesn't turn the ball over very much. SMU also has a pretty good defensive pass rush. And guess who the coach for FAU is now? Willie Taggart, taking over for Lane Kiffin. So I'm actually going to go with SMU because I actually like Shane. I think he can sling it. When I watched him when he played for Texas, and SMU had a really good season this year. So give me SMU.
Yeah, SMU's going for 11 wins for the second time in their history. But I tell you this, FAU really surprised me last week. I picked against them their last game. I think they were playing Florida International or something like that, and FAU hammered them. I thought, the departure of Lane Kiffin might hit him a little bit. The offense might struggle. That was not the case. They absolutely slaughtered FIU, and so I'm actually gonna take a flyer here as well on Florida Atlantic. So I'm gonna take them without Kiffin and still motivated.
Okay, all right, going against me there. So now I need to change my pick. The Camellia Bowl. I don't even know if I'm saying it right, but Arkansas State versus FIU at Florida International in Crampton, the Crampton Bowl in Montgomery, Alabama. It's an interesting bowl there, or interesting stadium name. But 5:30 p.m. ESPN, Arkansas State can't stop anyone. I mean, they have one of the worst defenses in college football. So give me Florida International. Hey, guess what? Their quarterback's last name is Morgan. So that's another reason to pick Florida International.
And I tell you, it's also a reason to pick against them. Like I said, they really did poorly against FAU in that last game. Really disappointed me. I thought they were going to give them a better game than that. So since they disappointed me in the last game, and the Red Wolves had a good second half. They won a lot of close games, but they did go on a bit of a winning streak in the second half. I'm going to take Arkansas State.
All right, all right. Now you're making me really nervous. Maybe I didn't do enough research because you are the pick master.
Yeah.
But another this is actually, I think, probably one of the better games. Las Vegas Bowl, number 19, Boise State versus Washington. Sam Boyd Stadium, Las Vegas, Nevada, 7:30 p.m. ABC. Washington has had success. They're 7-1 when they allow 400 yards or less. Boise State, on average, has a very hard time getting to 400 yards total in a game. This is Chris Peterson's last game. He's stepping down after this. He's going to be moving into a leadership advisory position. He had some, public mental health struggles dealing with and stress struggles dealing with being a head coach of a football program. Chris Peterson coaching Washington, his current team, playing against Boise State, his previous team. Going to be an interesting one. But I actually, Boise State's ranked in this one, but I think give me Washington, give me Peterson to go out as a winner.
Yeah, Washington played some really close games this year against some really good teams. Gave Oregon a run for their money earlier in the season as well. A lot of other teams. They played well. They played big at times. They played bad at times. I think they're 7-5 on the season. But Peterson, having coached Boise State in the past, he's going to have the upper hand. He wants to go out on a high note. I'm taking Washington Huskies as well.
And then we've got the New Orleans Bowl, number 20, Appalachian State versus UAB, Mercedes-Benz Superdome. Great place to play if you're going to a bowl. I mean, that you got to be excited about that if you're a player. New Orleans, 9 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Appalachian State has led the Sun Belt in the fewest yards allowed, and UAB kind of struggles to even get in the end zone. So give me Appalachian State in this game.
Yeah, pretty easy pick for me as well. Like I said, App State lost that one game all year to Georgia Southern. They just have too much talent for the Blazers. I'm taking the Mountaineers.
And then our last game before we have another show, hopefully we don't have another sickness that runs through the show host, but we're going to do these picks through Monday afternoon, and then hopefully have a show Monday night next week and pick up where we left off with the bowl games. But December 23rd, the Gasparilla Bowl, Marshall versus Central Florida, Raymond James Stadium. We got some friends down there in Raymond James in Tampa now. We got a little branch on Dabo's coaching tree in Tampa. But 2:30 p.m. on ESPN, UCF can pass the ball very well. They have a pretty good secondary, and Marshall is just really not that good on defense and struggles against specifically the pass the most. So give me Central Florida in that game.
Obviously, I like to give you a hard time about these bowl names. And I got to say this one because it's just so cool. It's the Bad Boy Mowers Gasparilla Bowl, actually. Okay, so that's a great name right off the bat. Marshall is 6-0 in bowl games under their coach, Doc Holliday. All right, I'm your Huckleberry, if anybody understands that reference. So I guess that would make UCF Ringo. But unfortunately, for all Tombstone lovers out there, that Ringo's going to get the better of them this time. Give me the UCF Golden Knights.
I'm glad that we're together on that one. And that rounds up our bowl week, college football bowl week picks, straight up picks this week. I know you're disappointed that they're not against the spread, but straight up picks this week. Let us know what you think. Hey, are we way off or are we exactly right? Let us know what you think in the comments over on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Periscope. We're all over the place right now. But let us know what you think in the comments. We have a call-in number. Again, I just threw it up on our YouTube chat room, 864-772-6674. That's the Buffalo Wild Wings of Greenville, South Carolina chat room. So make sure you get in. We don't have much time left to get in to the show's call. We have 2 open phone lines for you. So if you want to talk about anything tonight, you want to talk about that number 1 recruiting class that Clemson got this season or this year, go ahead and jump in and we'll talk about it. But Al, we've got, let me check over on YouTube real quick. Got 11 over on YouTube and got a lot of people over in the chat. I'm going to check through the chat. How many you got over on Facebook?
We got 18 over here on Facebook. Al's been doing a good job getting us his picks in as usual. I saw Megan had joined us for a while, and my sister and Mike also. So we appreciate y'all's support. Make sure if you're watching the show, make sure you like the show, share the show, and follow the show. Okay, that's kind of how we get more viewers. That's how we get more involvement. That's how we have better stuff to talk about. So get in, share your thoughts, share it with your friends so everybody can see it as well. Let's see. We got a question in here. Dean Cox gets in and says, "Thought Fiesta and Peach were only bowls." um, let's see. Mark gets in. Let's see. Missing watching, listening to you guys. Listening from Florence. We appreciate that, Mark. Anytime we can get somebody with a little distance, it's always a cool deal. I think you said you had a Nebraska fan in there earlier watching or something like that on YouTube.
Yeah, he's asking us, what do we think about Nebraska, and are they going to get into a bowl game? And I'll have to be honest with you, I don't know anything about Nebraska, and I really don't care. This is a Clemson Tiger Football Network show, and we like to talk. Well, not network show, but Clemson Tiger Football show, and we like to talk about Clemson specifically. But hopefully, Nebraska comes back to their, I guess their old days, their old ways of being successful, and actually gives Ohio State a run for their money, because nobody wants to see Ohio State win everything. So I at least pull for you in that sense. So let's see you beat up on Ohio State a little bit. And then we might talk about Nebraska a little bit more when they have some more success. But hey, maybe Scott Frost will be able to do something in the next couple of years. Anthony Harrelson came in and he said he appreciates the package we sent him. We sent him a sticker because he watches us on Facebook and YouTube at the same time. He wants to get best of both worlds, best of both chat rooms. So if you're not doing that, go ahead and jump in now. If you're on Facebook, jump in on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, jump in on Facebook. Hey, guess what? Jump in on Twitter too. Let's see. We got Stephen Ferguson saying shout out. He's out in Charleston, South Carolina, Clemson fan from Charleston. So we appreciate that. Marty Bruce, one of our number one fans, is asking when we're going to talk about Brad Brownell. We'll wait up because segment number 2, we're going to be talking about Brad Brownell and the Clemson Tiger men's basketball team. And Randy says, welcome back. But Al, we have to take a quick break. Stay with us. When we get back, we're going to talk about the Clemson basketball team, kind of our thoughts from the Clemson versus Carolina rivalry basketball game that really didn't go so well. But this is the Morgan Thomas Show on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, 105.5 and 97.5 The Roar, and anywhere you listen to podcasts. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the Morgan Thomas Show with my co-host and good friend Big Al, Alan Adams. Open phone lines over on the Buffalo Wild Wings of Greenville, South Carolina. Hotlines 864-772-6674. Jump in, get on the line, and we'll get you live while we're talking here. Alan and I, we appreciate you, and we hope that you enjoy the show. We hope you enjoy tuning in wherever you're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, The Roar, podcast, wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening. We hope you enjoy it. We hope you like the broadcast. We not only try to give you a quality broadcast, but we also try to address for success. TS for success, actually. That's Tiger Sports Shop. Tigersports.com. We are wearing our official gear from Tiger Sports Shop and exclusive sports shop provider for the Morgan Thomas Show. So only things we're wearing are from that show or from that store. So make sure you check them out over in Clemson or online at tigersports.com. You still might have time to get in before Christmas. It's getting kind of late. If you're away from Clemson area, away from the upstate, you might have to get it on the website. But if you're close to Clemson, go check them out. They're either downtown, they have a location downtown, or they have a location on Tiger Boulevard. I'm actually wearing a Columbia polo. It's a Clemson polo. It looks really, really, really orange right now. I don't know if it's my lights or something, but Alan's orange looks like a Tennessee orange compared to mine because mine is so red. But I assure you they are the correct Clemson orange. It's probably just the camera there. But I have a Clemson polo, golf polo from Columbia, and I really enjoy it. And we appreciate everything from Tiger Sports Shop.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm wearing a Cutter and Buck, another Cutter and Buck Dry Tech. Obviously, those are some of my go-to shirts. I like Cutter and Buck style. It's kind of got a subtle horizontal stripe to it. It's really nice, and obviously, it's got the really cool Tiger logo. It's a little bit different, something you don't see every day. So it's a really cool look for sure. It's a little more substantial. It's not that stretchy fabric like a lot of the golf polos are. It's a little more stiff, and it forms better. So it's a great shirt. Obviously, we love Tiger Sports Shop. You need to check them out at either of the locations, the one downtown or the one on the bypass as well. They'll hook you up with about anything you want. Okay, all that stuff there is great. I could spend all of my money there, as I say all the time. So, man, we got a couple of people jumping in here. I just wanted to kind of give them a shout out. Ryan gets in. Let's see. Jeremy gets in from Belton. Ryan is from North Augusta. Mark is from Greer. I saw Kathy join us as well, and Tracy. My dad just jumped in as well. So obviously we want to thank everybody for checking us out on Facebook. Make sure you like the show, share the show, follow the show so everybody can see. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we got a bunch of people over on YouTube jumping in. Randy, Marty, and McGrady, Hive, Ferguson, Edge. You got a bunch of people over here. A lot of usernames that I can't pronounce the entire username there, but a lot of people over on YouTube. I appreciate it. Hey, make sure you like and share, subscribe to our show. Actually, our channel just got a new subscriber, Deontay Harris. I appreciate that subscription there. We're on the way to 1,000 subs. We're a little bit over. I think we're close to 650 subscribers over on YouTube. So make sure you get in on that. If you're a Facebooker and you're not over on Facebook, we're almost at 1,700 followers over on Facebook. So thank you so much for the support over on Facebook. We just, the best is yet to come. We're going to keep trying to get better and keep providing you with Clemson-specific content that you want, even when you're not in the upstate and even when there's not a football game. That's what we're here for. But we appreciate the support as always. Al, let's get into topic number 2, and that is Clemson basketball update. I'll tell you, I went to the Clemson-Carolina basketball game. I'll say Clemson-Carolina. Let me back that up. Clemson U of SC basketball game.
That's right.
The Gamecocks. And I was very hopeful. Mark Childress, friend of mine, another host on the Roar. You'll see him on the radio. You can see him on the Tiger pregame show. But he gave me a ticket to go watch the game. He had some great tickets there. Not as good as Dean Cox's tickets, and he'll be coming in next episode, next segment. But because Dean's like right there on the floor. He's like got Drake level tickets, like on the floor level. He's just touching. He can touch the players as they shoot a three. But
maybe that's the problem.
But I was very hopeful. They gave me, I don't even have it with me, but they gave me a Clemson basketball picture frame. I thought that was really cool, really special. Thank you so much, Clemson University, for that. They also gave me a Clemson poster with Tevin Mack on it. Tevin Mack's been doing pretty well for the Tigers this year. But I got to the game, Al, and I don't really have much good to say about it, to be honest with you. Other than the fact that Clyde Trapp looks really good in his street clothes. That's the bad part. The good part is that he's moving around really well. The bad part is that he's in street clothes. We need Clyde Trapp to get into his uniform and get on the court because Clemson's struggling right now. Now, going into November, I felt like they did okay. I don't think that they lost any games that they should have won. Mm-hmm. Virginia Tech, a lot of people felt like, oh man, they should have beat Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's completely rebuilt. But Virginia Tech, they actually did really well rebuilding, and they got a really good point guard, and they're going to be a pretty good team this year in the ACC. Mm-hmm. So Clemson starts the season out with a loss, and the Boo Birds start coming out. Oh my, here we go. Another year with Brad Brownell. I get it. I understand. Clemson turns around, wins from Presbyterian, beats NCAA team in Colgate, beats a Detroit Mercy. Who's that? Don't know. Beat Alabama A&M, a terrible team. Mm-hmm. Then they go to Las Vegas. Munson and Beret and Milstead all travel out to Vegas, and they win against TCU, a team that normally scoring like 90 points a game. They hold them back and win the game, and then they have a really good game against the number 23 Colorado team. But lost the lead with 3 minutes to go. And I actually called the game on YouTube. sometimes I like, when my voice is good, I like to call the games, the play-by-play. So that was November. We left 5-2. Clemson walked away 5-2 in November. Not bad, right? But then December has been a complete disaster. Now I'll tell you, the December dream goal was 6 wins, no losses, because there's only 6 games they're playing this month. The realistic goal was 4 wins, 2 losses. The disaster would be 2 wins, 4 losses. Well, Tiger fans, the disaster is getting very close because they start at Minnesota. They were an underdog there. They got beat up at Minnesota in the Big Ten Challenge. They go to Florida State, or they go to Florida State, which Florida State they have never had any good success at, and they get beat up in Florida State. That was their 2 losses. So everybody said, at least I said, 2 losses. They're still in a realistically successful goal for December. And then South Carolina happens. And I walk away from that game where they barely, the field goal percentage was barely over 26%. Mm-hmm. I mean, their free throws, they seem to have struggle hitting free throws. They seem to shoot way too many 3-pointers to try to shoot out of a drought, and they just dig themselves a hole more and more. And then their just general field goal percentage, layups are just being completely missed. And so it's very, very frustrating. They go on droughts during that game where it's like, man, they can't do anything but turn the ball over. The most success they had a higher percentage of turning the ball over than actually getting the ball in the basket. And so as a Clemson fan who tries to stay positive in the basketball world, mm-hmm. it is very difficult.
Yeah, no, I understand that completely. Now, first of all, shout out to my dad who planned the Christmas cantata on the same night as the South Carolina Clemson basketball game. So I was not able to go. I was not able to watch. I had it taping at the house, and I was super excited to go home and see it. And, of course, it always happens. It never fails. Somebody tells you the score. Somebody tells you what happened. I did not go back and watch the whole thing. I mean, why would I after I found out what happened? Goodness gracious. I was really disappointed when you wanted to talk about that today. Most parents used to say, hey, if you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say anything at all. But you're the host, so here we are. Plain and simple, man, it's not good. We're turning the ball over too much and flat out cannot get consistent scoring. Brownell's been considered to be one of the most snake-bit coaches in America. I've said that. There's been a ton of people on the radio and on TV that have said that. I agree. It's tough for him. It seems like every year he's got these crazy injuries that happen to some of his best guys, including this year, obviously, without Trapp and without Bayer. Bayer's back, obviously, now, but he's not 100%. I think everybody would agree with that. So he's still got the snake bit thing working against him. Okay, so that's tough to deal with for sure. But at the end of the day, it's fascinating to me that the guys, that we get in the program and are told, they can shoot a little bit from 3-point. I don't see it. I've never seen it. I don't see anybody out there shooting the 3-point ball worth anything. And something I really hate to do, I really hate calling out individual players. It's not a thing I like to do, but Hunter Tyson is killing me. Okay. This guy we're told about, he's such a great shooter. He just needs to get in a rhythm. Well, I wish he would get in a rhythm because I hadn't seen anything from this guy yet. And some people can shoot the lights out in practice, but come game time, nerves get to them or whatever it is, and it just doesn't work out. Now, I want to be clear, even though I did call out Hunter, on the show, I want him to understand I'm pulling for him. Okay, I'm a Tiger 100%. And if you're a Tiger, I'm pulling for you. I want you to succeed, just like I want Brad Brownell to succeed. Marty, sorry to disappoint you there. I really do. I want Hunter Tyson to go on the scoring runs of all scoring runs. He's had one decent game this year where he scored a lot of points, but he'll go down. I actually saw him make a couple of baskets. And if he makes one, I can guarantee you the next time down the court, he's chucking one up, whether it's at the 3-point line or 5 feet beyond. And, of course, it's way off. I've just been really disappointed with what I've seen from him. Now, in fairness to him, Gabe DeVoe was a huge part of this Clemson basketball team, and he didn't really get into an offensive rhythm until his last season, until his senior year. He really didn't. I mean, he came out of the North Carolina Basketball League scoring, 30 points a game or 40 points a game or something crazy, some crazy number. And he comes in as a freshman and sophomore and even times as a junior, barely able to hit the rim. But then, of course, he killed it his last year. And maybe Hunter goes that route. But in the meantime, it's not helping the Tigers any. They really need to get Trapp back. They really need to get Bayer back so they'll have a little bit of depth, if nothing else. When I say Bayer back, I mean back 100%, obviously. Tevin Mack, he picked a bad game to have a bad game. I think I saw that he scored like 3 points or something in this game. He's been the most consistent player we have had all year. I know everybody likes to talk about Amir Sims. He's the leader. He's been here, and that's very true. But Mack has been on another level really this whole year. I've been really impressed with what I've seen from him. And man, not a good night to have a bad game for sure. So obviously, the Tigers have a long way to get back on track, but I'm an optimistic guy. I like to stay optimistic. So I'm going to be that way from here on out and pull for them as hard as I can.
Yeah, I agree too. And anything, like I said, I agree on the fact that anything negative that you would say is really more constructive criticism, because we do want Clemson to succeed. We're a Clemson show. Our views are based on how well Clemson does, really. I mean, if Clemson was a team that was not being successful, we wouldn't get YouTube views. We wouldn't get Facebook views. Nobody would want to talk about Clemson. But we do benefit from the fact that people want to talk about Clemson. And when we do talk about Clemson basketball, our views kind of go down. And that's frustrating, because I know growing up, I felt like that previous regime was exciting to watch. I felt like that Clemson could recruit players that were more exciting to watch television or in person. I'm thinking back to the Mays days, or the Stitz, or the Bookers. I'm thinking back to those days where I'm like, I want those guys back. And I'll tell you, Sims can do things where he's exciting. I mean, Sims actually can shoot threes. I think he was more successful than anybody. Dawes has flashes of success.
Right.
But this team is so injured, and they're so young. You don't really know how to put them together. It's so hard to put 5 people on the court. And then when you put 5 people on the court, the 5 best players, you have no true forward. I mean, Sims is would really probably do better as a small forward than as a power forward, and definitely better than as he's playing as a center right now. Mm-hmm. Trey Jemison is really more of your center type guy, big, strong body presence. But his experience and his game awareness is not always the best. And so he ends up playing backup to Sims most of the time, because Sims is able to understand, what the offense is trying to do and put himself in better situations, whether it come to a rebound or whether it be on offense where he's trying to get a 3-pointer. It is very frustrating. I left the game. We drove home. It's about an hour and a half back home to Simpsonville, and just very disappointed. It was a boring game. It was not fun to watch. I don't think it was fun to watch whether you were a Clemson fan or a South Carolina fan, because both teams really kind of struggled. Now, South Carolina ended up winning, so you got to be excited about that. We actually left with a few minutes to go. I know, Al, you're going to get on to me for this.
But I said that on the air.
I did not see Tevin Mack get in an argument with the guy, but the guy that he got in an argument with was one of the guys that when Dawes would hit a 3, that guy would match him. And so I know, as a player in my years, man, it's so frustrating to feel like you're getting the game within single digits, and then they turn it back and just drop it, and you're back down by 11. Yeah. That can be very frustrating. You're like, okay, yes, 8 is doable. Oh no, now it's 11 again. Then you go back and hit a 3 again. Yes, okay, 8. Now all we need is a stop and some good baskets, and we'll be back in it because we have enough time. Oh no, he just hits another 3 to match me. Matching somebody 3 for 3 is very frustrating, especially when you're trying to claw your way back in a late game situation. And part of that happened too. So I don't know if that was kind of ignited what Mac did, but the referee too, the one that kind of called him off and said, just go to the locker room. He was a guy that was kind of quick to call fouls all game. So I don't necessarily think the players couldn't have calmed down and shook hands. There were a lot of Clemson players lined up to shake hands. Right. But that referee was throughout the game was blowing the whistle very early, and he was like, if you watch the video on Twitter, he was like, get out of here, go to the locker room. So I mean, if the referee's telling you that, obviously you're gonna do that and walk away. Mm-hmm. But it is frustrating. And I get home and I watch the press conference from Frank Martin and from Brad Brownell. And I want to be mad at Brad. But if you listen to Brad Brownell, he knows exactly what's going on. He'll tell you play, and that's one thing that's different between football and basketball. It seemed like Frank Martin and Brad Brownell were not afraid to call out their player in the post-game press conference. I don't normally hear that from Clemson coaches, calling out bad play. I don't know if that's like a basketball thing and not a football thing, because a lot of times in football, if you're calling out a bad play from a specific player, you usually talk about the team or the coaching effort or whatever. And Brad Brownell was not exempt from calling himself out, but he called out Dawes for making rookie decisions, deciding to pull up and shoot when there were better players open in better positions. There were more options, and he just went and shot it. There was one play I remember, Al. They were shooting a free throw. South Carolina was. Brad Brownell brought Dawes and Hunter over. He got the whiteboard out and he drew up like fervently, like just real aggressively, just drew up a play on the whiteboard. Mm-hmm. And it was almost like he seems like he's always yelling. But he drew up this play, just real aggressive. And then Clemson gets the ball, gets the inbound, brings it down the court. Dawes passes it to Hunter. Hunter passes it back to Dawes. Dawes shoots a three. And I'm like, that cannot be the play that Brad Brownell drew up. And if it's Brad Brownell's play, you got to do better than that. But that cannot be the play. There has to be more to that. And another thing that frustrates me, in football, back when Tommy Bowden, I know people that are listening, watching, will remember this. Clemson would come out of a timeout and get like a false start or act like they don't know what the play is.
Yeah.
Or they would come out of a TV timeout or something, and then they would come out of halftime. That's what it was. Tommy Bowden's team would come out of halftime, and the first play, have to call a timeout because they don't know what they're doing. And it's like, you mean to tell me that you had 20 minutes to talk about what to do coming into the third quarter, and here you are, the start of the third quarter, calling a timeout. I will say, in the basketball world, there's a lot of times where they call timeout, they huddle, they talk about it, and I don't know if it's because Dawes is inbounding the ball or what, but it looks like they don't know where to throw the ball. They don't know where to run. They take 5 or 6 steps, and then they freeze. And even last night, Al, it's an out-of-bounds inbound, and they're worried about the backcourt violation because the ball went beyond the line. Now, thankfully, in that situation, I believe it was Hunter that got the ball. But if you're a basketball player, you should know on an inbound you can go back. And so, I don't know, just things like that. I'm like, it gets frustrating because you're out of a timeout. I don't know. I'm just on my soapbox right now talking about this. And I know people that are probably watching are like, same old, because anytime I post anything on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, whatever, same old, Morgan. If this is Brad Brownell's team, you better just get over it. And I don't want to get over it because I want the team to do better. But
yeah.
That's our basketball rant for the night. We're gonna cut it off there and move on to segment number 3. But before we move on to segment number 3, we're going to check in with our YouTube watchers and our Facebook watchers. We're over at we got 12 over on YouTube. We appreciate it. We got a handful over on Twitter, it looks like. So appreciate the support. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Clemson Morgan, at Clemson Allen, and make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. How many you got over on Facebook?
We got about 10 watching on Facebook right now. Only new ones I saw jump in were Alex and Mark, so we appreciate the support there. Alex, hadn't seen you in a long time, bud, but I certainly remember you playing ball with you back in the day, so it's good to have you join us.
All right. So we're going to take a quick break. Stay with us. When we get back, we're going to talk about the Clemson football early signing day. We're going to give you a recap of what we thought, how it did. Clemson, if you follow most recruiting agents or 8 recruiting sites, Clemson finished with the number 1 recruiting class in the nation on most of the sites. So we are very excited for that as Clemson supporters here on the Morgan Thomas Show. But make sure to check us out, Facebook, YouTube, The Roar, and anywhere you listen to podcasts. We'll be right back after this.
Oh my gosh. I'm struggling on Facebook over here, man. Give me a second, I'll share it.
What's up, everyone? We are back. It's segment number 3 with the Morgan Thomas Show. I'm your host and producer, Morgan Thomas. Thank you for sticking with us. And Big Al is going to tell you about our segment number 3 sponsor. Al, take it away.
Ladies and gentlemen, your segment number 3 sponsor is Heating Cooling Services, Inc. They are family owned and operated, serving Anderson County and surrounding areas since 1980. Heating Cooling Services, Inc. is your residential and commercial comfort expert. Anything from preventative maintenance of your home HVAC system to overhauling a commercial chiller and anything in between. If you want to breathe easier and be nice and cool in your home or business this summer, give Mark or Jason Trammell a call at Heating Cooling Services, Inc. 864-224-7655. Again, that number is 864-224-7655. As Morgan and I do, we use the people that we have advertised with us. Jason and Mark did great work for me, saved me a ton of money. They will do the same for you. Please make sure that you told them that you heard about them on the Morgan Thomas Show with Big Al. Ladies and gentlemen, that's how this works. All right, you tell them that you heard about them from us. They like spending their dollars with us. We get to produce these amazing shows for you guys to watch. So make sure that you do that.
I like that, Al. Yeah, we do get to produce this show because of our sponsors and because of our viewers as well. So we appreciate the support from all of you guys over on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Roar, podcasts, wherever it may be. So we appreciate wherever you listen, wherever you watch. Thank you for joining the show. This is segment number 3. Clemson early signing day was today. It was an exciting day. Rivals.com, which is kind of the website that Alan and I like to use. But Rivals.com has Clemson as the number 1 recruiting class right now after national or early signing day. Clemson, 23 total signs, 6 5-stars, 13 4-stars, 4 3-stars, an average of 4.09 stars, and total recruiting points of 3,100 points, which I don't really know what that means, but it sounds like a lot. It sounds good. Underneath Clemson or following up right after Clemson, and close second, actually tied for second there, 2A and 2B, is Alabama and Ohio State. No surprise there. Two big powerhouses. We're so grateful as Clemson Tiger fans to be up there. Clemson has always struggled to get a number one recruiting class, and seems to always have a really good recruiting class, but a lot of them are because they were looking back, they were really number one classes, but they weren't ranked at the time they were there. But this time, Clemson's got some big-time recruits. Again, rounding out your top 10, you've got LSU, Georgia, Texas A&M, Florida, Tennessee, Oregon. Man, there are a lot of that same conference that we don't like to talk about up in the top 10 over on Rivals. Outside of the SEC, you've got Clemson and Oregon. And I don't think you really have an ACC team until you could say Notre Dame, you could say Miami, Notre Dame, Miami, North Carolina, 14, 15, and 16 there. So that rounds out like the top 20. Those are the top, ACC teams. But I wanted to tell you, we have a special guest tonight, one of our first ever guests on the show. His name is Mr. Dean Cox. He is a super fan. You see him, he's the hat. That's his alternate personality there. Still same guy. But he gets to wear that nice orange Clemson cowboy hat with all the pins and memorabilia on, and that nice orange jacket that was given to him. Looks like a stud out there when he wears it, and you can see him. You saw him at the ACC championship game. Don't have a picture up. I need to have a picture up with Santa Paws. And he's usually at every game, baseball, basketball, football. You'll see him. Go shake his hand if you see him there. He's a great Clemson ambassador. And again, like I said, one of our first ever special guests on the show. But I noticed that as I was watching the Twitter feed for the live feed from the early signing day events that they had at the Allen Reeves Center, of course, the hat was there, kind of, I believe, front row or close to front row, sitting right there with some of the family and some of the media there. And so I gave Dean a call. I said, Dean, would you like to come on the show and talk a little bit about your experience? And so we've got Dean on the line now. Dean, say hello to our fans over on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter tonight.
Hey, what's up, guys? Man, glad to be on the show with you. Alan, what's up?
It's good to hear from you, Dean. It's been a long time.
Glad to see you still wearing the hat, man.
Amen.
Hey, but let me tell you, it's a great time to be a Tiger, and people hear that from the hat all the time. But this morning I got an invitation. Let me let you know that thing that they have for signing day is big money, Clemson. Now don't be fooled that because the hat was there, the hat's big money. Because those big monies can take a guest. The good part is everybody likes for the hat to be their guest, to show him off, I guess. So I got to go, but man, it's awesome. It started at 8:30 this morning. We had breakfast, like the players have breakfast. Not as good as stuff. We had like breakfast danishes, and I think they had the full course bacon, eggs, and all that. But still, there's a lot of cool people there. I mean, Dabo, he wore that orange jacket. He wears it twice a year now, since we have an early signing. He said signing day, he wears that jacket. That's the only other time he puts that orange jacket on. So man, it was crazy. My sidekick, Santa Paws, was there. The only problem is today he was Santa Claus, not Santa Paws. If you watch it on Clemson football, you will see him today with a red suit on. Okay. That was for Kathleen Swinger. That's what she wanted. He escorted her down and gave Dabo the gift boxes with the players' names in it, who we got. And so, it was just a great day. But, man, I'm one of those, and like you said a while ago, I'm a fan, man. I mean, I love the fans, and I love to win, and I love to go to the games. But I mean, you and Alan are more the detail guys. I mean, I hear these guys. Now, today I found out, I mean, I've been saying Breezy forever.
Yeah, me too.
I found out today it's Breezy.
Right.
Yeah, Breezy. And I still ain't got, I'm fine with DJ.
Yeah.
So, Yes, but man, it was just amazing to hear Dabo talk about every one of them. And today I paid attention, and I was like, "Holy cow!" Now I know why these guys are 5-stars and 4-stars. And we look, and we got 6 5-stars in this class. Do you know how many of these 4-stars? I think we got 12 of them, but like 6 of them were within 1 point of being a 5-star.
Right.
I mean, there could be 12 5-stars really coming in. Now, when Dabo says the best is yet to come, that's what he's talking about.
Now, Dean, what I really like to see is kind of that family atmosphere. You talked about the Santa Claus coming down with Kathleen. Well, Kathleen was up on stage with Dabo the entire time, which I really was. I respected that a lot. But then, as they were announcing players, they didn't just put the players on the board, but the coaches were introduced with their wives. They walked down the fake hill there, the replica hill, and like you said, they were given a box with player names that they put kind of ornaments on the tree, so they kind of had that Christmas flavor. But all in all, I mean, it was a great production, but it was really cool for me, you know, as a fan, like I said, to watch and see just how that family, you know, say Clemson family, it's not a joke. It actually is an important factor. And, you know, a lot of these guys, Dabo said, "Hey, Lemansky, what do you tell us about these guys that you've recruited this year?" And he said, "Well, I don't recruit players. I recruit people first, and then I worry about the player." So he almost doesn't care as much about, now obviously he cares about the film, but they care about the family and the player. And you notice a lot of times, instead of talking about their speed or their strength, the first thing they say is, "Man, they got a good family, got a good mama, got a good daddy."
Yep. Yeah. Well, hey, and let me tell you, that really is Clemson. I mean, even DJ's parents, man, they're in California. They're not moving here, as far as I know, with DJ, but they trust him to Dabo because they know how Dabo and Kathleen and that whole crew is, man. Dabo is one of those, and a lot of people don't know, but I mean, these guys that Saban works to death during football season, Dabo's like, "All right, we played today. Tomorrow you go home, you spend the day with your family, and we'll get back on it Monday." I mean, man, Saban is like, "Give me your menu for what you want for lunch for the next 7 days, and I'm going to have it catered in because you're not going home. Your bed is in the locker room." So, but man, and that's why, you know, he called Jeff Scott, and he says, "Look, this is the perfect job. This guy just called me. I've got you somewhere to go." I mean, nobody else but Dabo Swinney is that family oriented and looking to help his coaches and players.
Yeah, I agree. You know, you kind of mentioned Jeff Scott. We had some notes on Jeff Scott in the previous segment, but it kind of went long on my basketball rant. But Jeff Scott said in his press conference, he said, "I know a lot of Clemson fans are watching my press conference today. I feel like he said, I feel like they feel like they're sending one of their own family members to South Florida. I've had so many people reach out to me, text me, got over 600 text messages from Clemson fans saying that they are going to cheer not only for Clemson next year, but also for the Bulls in South Florida." And I really truly believe that. I mean, you look at that press conference with Jeff Scott, who was there? Tyler Gresham and Tony Elliott. Obviously, Dabo Swinney. I think if Dabo was there, it'd been kind of awkward, but I'm sure Dabo probably wanted to be there. But Dabo, I'm sure, was watching as well. But it's awesome to see. And Jeff Scott, a lot of people were worried about Jeff Scott. Is he going to hang with the team? He's going to clean up some stuff after early signing day, and he's going to come right back and help the team out, try to win another national championship. Dean, I appreciate you coming in on the show and stopping in. Like I said, one of our first ever guests on the show way back in March. So we respect you, and we would love to have you on more and more, and we'll try to get you on some more. But let our fans know over on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter where they can check you out, because I know, like I said, you got the hat page, and maybe not everybody knows where to find you.
Nah, and my personal Facebook page, Dean Cox, is booked up. So you'll have to follow me on the hat. But let me tell you, the hat is bigger and better than ever. I was on another website, and we just, mutually decided to separate ties this past week, and so now I'm not only sharing that website on my hat page, but I'm sharing the Tiger Nets wherever the best and fastest news is getting shared to the hat Facebook page. So you go to the hat Facebook page, like it, follow it, go with me to Phoenix a week from Thursday. I mean, a week from next Thursday. Is that the 28th?
It's not too much longer.
Yes, you're not kidding, man. It's here fast, but I booked my flight. So when you go out there, I'm gonna do the Facebook live videos. So if you will watch that, you're going to Phoenix with the hat, and we'll go all the way through the game until we get back. So, hey, then I'm on Twitter, Dean the Hat Cox, and also on Instagram, the Hat Dean. So, hey, just follow me through. Hey, like he said, man, come over and speak to me. I love that. I had one at the basketball game last night, and you would have thought he'd seen Santa Claus. He was so happy, but I was more happy when he came and told me that he loved those videos. So, hey, guys, follow me. Appreciate your help, man. Just you and Alan, y'all do a great job. And, I mean, y'all are like the hat. You're just down to earth, not cocky, not conceited. Just all in Tiger fans that love the Tigers.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Dean. Thank you so much for coming on the show again. We'll try to get you back on towards our guests, hopefully after the Clemson Tigers win that national championship. That's when we'll get you back on. We'll talk about what you think. I know you're going to be actually at the national championship game, I'm sure, if they do make it there, which we all predict they will. But, he's going to be out in Phoenix. Clemson's very familiar with Phoenix. And it's a place where Clemson, I feel like, should have won with Deshaun Watson, but also a place where they were able to go back and win with Deshaun Watson. A place that Ohio State probably doesn't like to remember too much last time they played Clemson down there. I think it's going to be an exciting game. And like Dean said, he likes to go live. He went live at the ACC championship game. Did a lot of stuff behind the scenes, and I really love to watch that stuff because he tries to get in and talk to anybody he can before the game, so you can kind of feel like you're there. If you don't have a chance to get there, you didn't have the ability to buy or the way to get a ticket out there to Phoenix, you will feel like you're there if you follow the hat. So go follow him today. We appreciate that. Al, let's get over to finish up the night, my man. We just got a few minutes left, and we're going to talk about, kind of wrap up the early signing day. Again, Dean had some great insider info on what went on tonight at the early signing day at the Allen Reeves Center. We need to get somebody who's got the big bucks that can invite us to be guests. So I need to find somebody, and you need to find somebody.
You've already got attending the all-in ball and all that kind of thing. And I still remember you went without me, by the way. So, no hard feelings or anything like that. But, whatever. It is what it is.
Now, I didn't go to the all-in ball. All right. That's big. That's big money right there.
You went to some big function is all I remember.
I went to something with the Cliffs. They were smoozing me, even though I don't have a house there. I know I have a friend of a friend of a friend who has a house there.
That's right.
And that's what you know. That's what you got to do. So you got to know somebody. But maybe one day, I will be your guest and you'll be my guest. Hey, maybe we'll get to that point. Maybe. But we got 15 people watching over on YouTube. Appreciate you hanging with us. We're going to finish up with a little bit of the early signing day recap. And Al, how many people we got on Facebook while we finish it up?
We got 11 over here on Facebook. We're going to obviously, like Morgan said, kind of give you a recap of what Clemson got. It's going to be a real brief recap of what kind of the players we got. We're going to go a lot more in depth later. We'll do a show or maybe a couple shows. I'm not really sure, really breaking down the film of these players and what we like about them and what we see. So, and kind of how they fit into Clemson's scheme as well and what their future looks like. So we'll definitely be stay tuned in the shows to come, but this is going to be a quick recap.
Now, Alan, you were saying you like to break it up between players who committed early, But I think
Wow.
I think what we'll do is, or who's going to be able to enroll early. If you check
Early,
out
yeah.
if you check out at Clemson Morgan over on Twitter, I got a list of the players that are enrolling early. 16 out of the 23, I believe, or 17 out of the 23 are going to be enrolling early. You're talking 3 weeks from today. They're going to be on campus with book bags and with their pillow, with their special pillow, with their favorite pillow and their favorite blanket, and they're going to be getting their cleats on, getting sized up for pads and for helmets, and getting ready to play for the Clemson Tigers going into 2020. Exciting time for the Tigers. Al, let's start off with players who committed first. There are players, Al, committed back in early or mid 2018, and let's just show them some love. DeMonte Capehart, defensive tackle, Bradenton, Florida, 6'6", 300 pounds. 4-star, 6 rating on Rivals, which basically is so close to a 5-star, it's not even funny. But he committed back in June 5th of 2018.
Yeah, he's a huge guy. Obviously, there's a lot of pass rush ability from the interior of the line there because he projects to play defensive tackle. He, transferred to IMG Academy, got some work in there against some top competition. So really looking forward to what he can do at Clemson in a couple of years. I'm not sure he'll crack the rotation next year, but in the following year, 2021, he'll definitely be in there. I feel quite sure.
That 3-headed snake, I like to think about because him with the other 2 outside guys that we're going to talk about on the defensive line is going to be very, very nasty for ACC teams, SEC teams, Big 12 teams, Big 10 teams, whoever, Pac-12, whoever it is. Next up, Sergio Allen back in July 26th of 2018 committed and stuck with the Tigers from Fort Valley. That's a Georgia Bulldog recruiting bed area. 6'2", 215, 4-star linebacker.
Yeah, obviously, what he lacks in size. Obviously, you'd like him to have be a little bit taller, anyways. Maybe a little bit bigger, but he's got a pretty good weight on him, anyways. He makes up for intelligence and closing speed. He's a very smart player, so really looking forward to what he can do once he gets Venable's system down. We obviously talk about Venables and the linebackers, and it takes him a while to get going, but he'll get up to speed soon enough. Can't wait to see what he can do.
And Robbie Caldwell had 3 in a row, knocked him out. I remember now going back through and talking about these players last year, going up into the season. But you've got John Williams, offensive lineman, 6'5", 275. Walker Parks, 6'5", 275. He is nearly a 5-star guy on Rivals. Sometimes I think some places do have him 5-star. Mm-hmm. And correct me on his name here, Paul. Is it
Paul Chio?
Paul Chio. He is what is it?
Paul Chio.
Paul Chio. He's from Milton, Georgia, 6'5", 320. Another 4-star that's close to being a 5-star too. So 3 big-time offensive linemen back to back to back. So doing really good there for the Clemson offensive line coach.
Yeah, definitely. And you jump there because a couple of those are summer enrollees. Only one of those is going to enroll early, and that's Paul Chio, like you said. The last picture I saw of this guy, he looks like he's a little bit closer to 300 than the 320 he's listed at. So hopefully he shed some bad weight, and he's going to be ready to put on some good weight at Clemson. He projects on the interior for the most part, I believe. And the other 2 you spoke about with John Williams and Walker Parks. Walker Parks, like you said, he's Mitch Hyatt as far as size wise, but he has a real mean streak to him, which a lot of people love in an offensive lineman, myself included. So I think he is going to be the next great tackle for Clemson for sure. John Williams, also similar to Hyatt, he's about 275 when he comes in. Needs probably a year or so in the weight room to kind of get up to speed, but hopefully he can provide some depth in the next couple of years.
Another big defensive tackle, Trey Williams from Washington, D.C., 6'3", 290, 4-star on January 26th. And another guy on the exact same day, Kevin Swint. I actually talked about this by myself when I was doing the show by myself. Kevin Swint, guy that I feel like is he is a really good linebacker as well. So 6'3", 223. I mean, we're talking about guys that haven't even finished high school yet. 6'3", 223, 6'5", 275. I mean, these guys are grown men, and they're not even 21 yet. They're not even 18 yet, some of them. So again, like I said, Trey Williams, Kevin Swint, both committed in January.
Yeah, Trey Williams is obviously a big frame guy, a lot of power. He's a little bit shorter than, you like your defensive tackles to be, obviously, in an ideal world. I think of him kind of as a bigger Tyler Davis, and if anybody has watched Tyler Davis play this year, they will take that every single time. Like you were talking about Kevin Swint, he has great size for a linebacker. He's one that, obviously a linebacker committed really early. And I think his potential is kind of going to outgrow his position at linebacker. I hope he becomes a big middle linebacker or outside linebacker. It doesn't really matter to me. But I think his kind of potential at Clemson might end up being at defensive end if he grows out of that frame a little bit.
Yeah, most of the recruiting sites are saying that Allen is a big tackling machine. Sergio Allen is a big tackling machine in the middle of the field, while Kevin Swint is more that length and athletic guy to the outside. So great 1-2 combination if they're on the field at the same time. After them, it goes into March, early of March of 2019, this year. Mitchell Mays, offensive lineman, and Brian Tucker both committed. One, Mays from Raleigh, North Carolina, Tucker from Knoxville, Tennessee, both 4-star guys, both 6'5", both over 300 pounds.
Yeah, definitely. It's always nice to have some beef on the offensive line for sure. Mitchell Mays has great size. He's a huge guy. He probably projects as a guard at this level for sure. It's funny though. Anytime you see these guys and you project them in certain places, Clemson likes to cross-train their offensive linemen for sure. I mean, Jackson Carman is a huge guy, and obviously he did a great job at tackle this year, and I'm sure he'll only get better. Brian Tucker, from what I've seen from him, I'm not so sure his feet are fast enough for the tackle position, so I'm going to project him as a guard, and I think that's where he'll be. But definitely some big bodies on the offensive line, something you'd like to see.
And then you get into some of the defensive side of the ball again. R.J. Mickens and Allen, these guys started committing. This is about the time that you were full-time on the show. This is in April. Mm-hmm. You've got R.J. Mickens, Fred Davis, and Brian Bresee. So 2 defensive backs, 1 defensive tackle, all big-time studs there. R.J. Mickens probably would be a 5-star if he hadn't got injured in his junior year. He's from Southlake, Texas, 6 foot tall, 187. Then you got Fred Davis. Man, he's a 5-star guy, a 6'2" guy, big outside, tall outside guy that can cover anybody, got that length. His footwork looks a little weird. And even Walt Deptula said this on his show earlier today. Going to have to do some work on that, but he's from Jacksonville, Florida. And man, he's a 5-star guy for sure when you watch him. He just plays all over the field. And then Brian Bresee. Bresee, not Bresee, because we've been saying Bresee this whole time. So Bresee, and that's what Dabo Swinney out of his mouth earlier today. So Bresee, Damascus, Maryland, 6'5", 290. Many people have him as the number 1 overall recruit. They said he's like a defensive tackle. He's like a J.J. Watt type, but plays defensive tackle. He's like a Christian Wilkins, but plays angrier. Yeah. And I don't know what that is, but I'm scared.
Yeah, R.J. Mickens, like you said, he's the son of former NFL cornerback Ray Mickens. He's got good size, not great size. He has decent speed. I think he lacks the measurables to be a 5-star. Whether he plays like that in college or not is obviously a different story. But he's going to be a good one for the Tigers for sure. Like you said, he was injured a lot as well. And Fred Davis, a very physical corner, long length. Venables and Reed really like the lengthy corners. I kind of think of this guy as a Terrell. He can play really well in press man coverage, that kind of thing. So looking forward to see if he can fill that role earlier rather than later. And then you talk about Brian Bresee, my favorite recruit of the class. Big surprise, he's the number 1 overall recruit in the country. This guy, there's no way you should ever be able to move the way he moves at that size. He's insanely powerful. He can shed blocks like there's nothing. He tosses people like rag dolls. This guy's going to be insane. I think Walt said today that he thinks he's the best defensive lineman to ever come through Clemson. I didn't listen to a lot of Walt's show today simply because I knew he was breaking down film, and I want to do my own breakdown of the film and then kind of compare it to his at the end. So I didn't really get to listen to a lot of them today. But I don't only think he's the best defensive lineman to come through Clemson, I think he may be the best defensive player to ever come through Clemson.
Ooh, man, write it down. December 18th, 2019. Allen said it. Obviously, big-time recruit, and we're excited about him. This is around that all-in cookout time frame when a lot of players that really love Clemson and are really just for sure they're going to go and join Dabo Swinney's team start to commit. This is when they kind of just started dropping within the next couple of days. So Bresee was the first, and then DeMarcus Bowman, big-time running back out of Lakeland, Florida. Everybody thought that would be an automatic lock to Florida. He's got 3 friends that played last year on his high school team that went to Florida to be a Gator. But Jeff Scott and company went down there and took him from Lakeland, Florida, and he decided that he wanted to be a Tiger instead of a Gator. 5'11", 190. Dabo Swinney says he is the next C.J. Spiller. Ooh, man, it just gives me cold chills to think about that. Him, DJ Uiagalelei, quarterback, Bellflower, California, 6'4", 235, gunslinger, probably the best quarterback in the nation outside of battling with Alabama's number one quarterback guy that's also from California. Then you have a defensive end, Miles Murphy, rounding out that laundry list of five-star guys. Davis, Brazee, Bowman, Uiagalelei, and Murphy, all taken, all committed in May, and all 5 stars back to back to back. It is a great time to be a Tiger when something like that happens. I don't believe that's ever happened. Like Dean Cox said, 6 5-star recruits according to Rivals, and more than likely, probably more, because if you really think about it, 1 or 2 recruiting analyst votes, and 5 or 6 more could have been 5 stars.
Yeah, definitely. I like you mentioned DeMarcus Bowman first, and he is incredibly fast and very explosive, is a violent runner. So that's something you always want to see, especially with the departure of a Travis Etienne in all likelihood after this year. We still like what we have in Lynn J. Dixon, and I still like what we have in the backups, but this guy should be able to come in and make a pretty instant impact, whether it be, as a first or second string, who knows. But he'll make an impact sooner rather than later. So really like what I see from him. DJ Uiagalelei is an incredible quarterback, huge size. I mean, he's 6'4", almost 240 pounds. That's insane size for a quarterback. And he really doesn't look 240 pounds if you see him. He's a lean 240, which is going to help him when he's running the ball. He's a good runner. He's not going to be confused with Lamar Jackson or anything like that, but he's a very capable runner. He can make all the throws, incredible arm talent for sure. So really excited that Clemson is able to keep this elite quarterback production coming from Watson to Lawrence to Uiagalelei, and that's assuming Uiagalelei is our next quarterback. Obviously, we got some pretty good guys still on the roster in Pumachan and Bryce as well. And then you mentioned Miles Murphy, 5-star defensive end. Obviously, he has really great size. For a defensive end, he's got good hands. He's kind of a quieter kid. He took the recruiting process a little differently. He really loves the family values and the family atmosphere that Clemson offers, as some recruits just kind of gravitate towards. So that's one of the reasons I think they were able to land Murphy. But it was a great pickup.
You say Chase Bryce, but the rumor is that Chase will be looking for another place now that he's graduated, and he is a Clemson graduate, a Clemson national championship winner. And, Chase,
wouldn't surprise me.
He could have left a long time ago.
Yeah.
We really respect the fact that he stayed with us and that he saw his career through until graduation. We wish him luck, and we know he's going to do well. I'd love to see him go down there with Jeff Scott, but I know some people are saying that there's a lot of other places that might be available for him that he could be successful outside of that obvious selection of somebody he's very familiar with. But next up, you got Kobe Pryor, running back. Dabos, when he says he's more of a Thunder, more of a big-time runner, more of a James Davis type guy, not as explosive as Bowman, but definitely has some really good key deliverables and measurables that he can bring to the table. It'll be a good offset from what Bowman can bring to the field. So kind of bouncing back and forth between those two guys is what we look forward to. Another guy from Georgia, right? Stealing them from the Dogs, 5'11", 205, 4-star. That he signed late May as well, or middle of May. He was kind of the 4-star guy that kind of tacked on with those big 3-star guys. It kind of got overlooked a little bit because his stars aren't as many, but definitely a really good player there. Another guy you might be familiar with, Tyler Venables. Yes, he's the son of Brent Venables, and he's going to be playing more of a secondary role in a safety position. That's kind of what he's used to over there at Daniel. And Sage Ennis, a guy that we have some film on. We talked about earlier on this year, back in the summer, a pass-catching tight end. Some big-time wide receivers, Joe and E.J. Williams, both. One from Canada, didn't play a lot of traditional American football, but he has the athletic ability to dominate if he can just shave off the edge, kind of round the edges off and kind of clean up some of the fundamentals there. I think he'll be really, really good. He's 6'4", 200 pounds. E.J. Williams, a good friend of Justin Ross, wide receiver, also from Justin Ross's high school there, taken out of Alabama. He was the MVP of the Alabama-Mississippi game at the end of this year from Phoenix City, so not too far from Auburn there, 6'3", 183. Some big-time guys on the offensive side of the ball, sprinkled in with Tyler Venables there.
Yeah, you threw a lot of names at me right there, but I'm going to do my best to go over them again. Kobe Pryor, like you said, he's a bowling ball. Okay, he's a powerful runner. He's the kind of guy you want on 3rd and 1 for sure. So definitely be a good compliment to Bowman. Tyler Venables, obviously, awesome athleticism. I'm interested to see, if we have any transfers or any injuries or anything like that, if he gets a little, reps at quarterback, kind of see what he can do back there, because that's what he plays in high school. I think he has that ability. He's just a really good athlete, and glad, hopefully, that keeps Venables around for, another 4 years at least. Then you talk about Sage Ennis. Like you said, we broke his film down in June. For sure, he has the potential to be a great blocker for sure. He really likes to hold on to those blocks and drive people into the ground. Also has what it takes to be a decent pass catcher as well. So looking forward to what we can get out of him. It's about time we get some, tight end production. We really need to see some of that. Maybe with, Galloway coming back, we'll get to see some in the playoffs. Who knows? But we really want to get a reliable guy there who can catch some passes and be a threat out of the backfield. And maybe Sage Ennis is that guy. Then you talked about the receivers. I believe it was E.J. Williams. I like to think of E.J. Williams as a real solid receiver. I like to think of him kind of in the Travion Thompson mold, but a little bit better size and more athletic. I like the way he moves a little bit better. Travion Thompson obviously had a solid career here at Clemson, and did a good job. So I think we can expect a little bit even better things from E.J. Williams. And then Ajo, he has the size and athleticism that's just simply off the charts. Obviously, he's not playing against real good competition in Canada, but I mean, still, that's just kind of stuff that you have to offer. You have to offer and see what you can do and see if you can mold that clay into what you need it to be. Will it translate to the college game? I sure hope so, but if anybody can do it, it's Clemson.
Yeah, that's for sure. And to round out this recruiting class, Trent Howard, offensive lineman from Birmingham, Alabama, 6'4", 285, 3-star. He committed on December 6th. Trenton Simpson, this was a big-time pickup for the Tigers. A lot of Clemson fans, and myself included, were all looking at Justin Flo. As we know, what the development happened is that Dabo Swinney sent Brent Venables out there to talk to him. He spent a day or two out there last week, to really kind of gauge what Justin Flo was going to do. Then Dabo Swinney called him over the weekend and said, hey, what are you going to do? Because I got a guy that's in our backyard in Charlotte, North Carolina, that really wants to be here. He's a big-time 5-star guy, 6'3", 224, and he's saying that if we offer him right now, he'll flip from UNC, he'll flip from Auburn, wherever recruiting agency tells you he's from or he was committed to. But he was looking at Auburn and UNC. But we can offer him right now. He says we can offer him right now, and he'll take it. He wants to be a Clemson man. What do you want to do? Because we offered you first and didn't get a good response. And so what does Dabo Swinney do? He says, hey, I have to take the guy that wants to be here, the guy that fits into the program. And also, I think from a strategic standpoint, taking a player from Oregon is not as strategically impactful as taking a 5-star guy from a team that almost beat you this year in your same conference. So if he was going to go to the Tar Heels, it's better to get that player. That's just strategy talking about. Clemson may never play Oregon. Oregon may never make it to the playoffs. But Clemson has a high likelihood of having to play Mac Brown, especially how he's been improving this team that was just in the gutter last year and took him to the brink this year. Yeah. So getting that 5-star guy from the Tar Heels is great news. But also, before that, the guy's family loves the Tigers. His daddy just came out and said, my boy is a Tiger. It just makes me just get all warm inside just thinking about mamas and daddies who are so excited to see their players put on the orange and go play for us, for themselves, for their future. But, hey, they do it for the fans too, and we get to enjoy it. So we appreciate you, Trenton. We don't want to talk about that guy. We don't want to talk about anybody else who doesn't want to be on the team or didn't want to make the decision. Hey, I don't necessarily blame Flo. Completely across the country, just like Dean Cox said. DJ, that's a big deal to have to fly all the way across country to play in college. But DJ's dad said the same thing. When you meet Dabo Swinney face to face, you can't say no to wanting your son to play for him and to learn from him and to be developed from him. But Trenton Simpson, big-time 5-star guy. And then the flip of the week, the flip of the day, Malcolm Green kind of started thinking that he was going to do this. but he was originally committed to LSU, another team that Clemson might play more frequently than Oregon. And Malcolm Green, originally defensive back, committed to the LSU Tigers from Highland Springs, Virginia, 5'10", 177 pounds, 4-star. He committed today and joined the Tigers to round out this amazing number one recruiting class. Just amazing to kind of go through these guys, even the little bit that we did.
Yeah, definitely. Trent Howard, I want everybody to kind of remember this. I got two guys, one on offense, one on defense, that I kind of think is going to be the surprise of this class. I think Trent Howard is that guy on offense. He's a road grader in the run game. I'll explain a little more when we kind of break down his film, which is probably why, GT recruited him. He was obviously a Georgia Tech commitment, ended up decommitting, coming to Clemson. I really like what I saw from him on film. So he's a 3-star guy. I think he's going to play a lot bigger than that. May take him a couple years to get there, but I think he's going to be a good one in the long run. And then you talked about Trenton Simpson, obviously the 5-star linebacker. Huge get, the situation with Flo turned out, we get Simpson, a guy that wants to be a Tiger. I want people that want to be here. He has really good size. He rushes the passer in high school a lot. He'll kind of come off that slot receiver and rush in to get the passer. He's a running back as well for his high school. He has pretty decent speed, good lateral ability, so we'll talk about him more. But another 5-star guy that we just keep stacking on. And Green is my guy on defense. I mean, anytime you can get a defensive back from LSU, that's a big deal, right? I mean, LSU is known for being DBU, okay? I really like Malcolm Green. Again, I'll kind of get into more specifics when we break down his film. But he's not the size that Venables and Reed usually covet, like we were talking about with Fred Davis. But I think he may be the best safety to come around in a while at Clemson. I like his instinct. I like his ability to diagnose plays. We'll talk about him a little more. But one guy that you didn't really mention, is kind of a side note to this class, is Tanner Tessman, the kicker, that is going to end up playing. I don't know if you heard about him. He's on soccer scholarship, but he's going to be, once he plays football, I think, or something like that, once he plays a snap, he's considered on football scholarship. So he will actually take a scholarship from football. I think that prevents teams from kind of mismanaging their recruiting and their scholarships to kind of give them to other people. So once you play football trumps anything. So he's going to get a kicker there. Look, a lot of people always want to talk about getting a kicker from the soccer team. People are always clamoring for that. Clemson's done it in the past and done it with some success. This guy's got a leg. Apparently, from what I hear, he can kick with both legs, right or left. So it's pretty impressive stuff, and he can boom it a long way. Really interested to see what this guy can do.
He's amphibious.
That's right. He's amphibious.
I played soccer in high school, and I played 1 year in college as a practice dummy. And just is so funny to hear you say he can kick with both legs, because like that's kind of what you have to do in soccer. Like it's not like if you can't do that, then you're probably not going to play very much. Yeah. So it's just funny, it's like saying he can dribble with both hands,
Is that why you didn't play much? Kick with both legs?
That's why I was on defense and I was a practice dummy. But no, I got a little bit of a left foot, man. I can kick it a little ways. I'm not David Beckham out here, but I try my best. So, man, I appreciate so much the support we have over on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, The Roar, everything that we have. We're looking to learn more and improve the show any way we can. So if you have any feedback or thoughts or comments or any suggestions, send it to us. So in our direct message over on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, wherever, we'd appreciate your feedback. And we hope to make the show a show that you enjoy watching about our Clemson Tigers and the ACC as a whole. But we also want to try to get better every single day, and we look forward to 2020. It's not too many shows left before the end of the year, and so we're excited about that. We hope you have a good holiday season coming up, a holiday travel. I hope everything's safe. Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. I know you're gonna see us again. I'm acting like this is the last show of the year, but it's not. But again, thank you so much for joining us on Facebook, on YouTube. If you're listening to us on the Roar 105.5 or 97.5 FM, or if you're checking us out on a podcast, we're on Apple, Google, Spotify, basically anywhere you can get your podcast. But that's it for this week. My name is Morgan Thomas. I'm your host and producer.
And I'm Alan Adams. I'm your co-host.